Hi, I'm Bob.Woolverton, your Northwest Realty Advisor, and how are you on this fine day? Me? Well, we're moving into springtime, the daylight's getting longer and the days are getting warmer, so how could you possibly go wrong? But we're not going to talk about the weather today. Today we're going to talk about title and escrow. When you buy and sell real estate, you always hear about title and escrow fees being in your closing costs, but what are they and how much do they cost? Well, stick around because that's what we're going to talk about on today's episode of Northwest Realty Advisor. So when I first got involved in real estate, I had no idea how many different ways there are for somebody to hold title to a piece of property. And then when I began to study for my real estate license, I actually made this chart so I could help organize in my head all of these different ways so that I could study for the test. And I've kept this chart all this time, and it just happens to come in handy for this presentation today about title insurance. So these are all the different ways that you can, in essence, hold title to a piece of property. So you've got your different types of leasehold estates, and you see the different forms of that. Then you've got your freehold estates, and you've got fee simple and life, and then under fee simple you've got absolute and qualified versions. And the fee simple absolute is probably the most common type of ownership, but it's not, obviously not the only type. And then you've got life estates and property. But the reality of it is that even though there's all these different ways to actually hold title to property, not every one of these gives you lawful authority to sell the property. And that's where a title search will, at least as a first step, tell you if the seller even has lawful authority to sell that property to you. Now, when we talk about title insurance, we should start with just the basic understanding of what insurance is. So insurance, the whole idea is to protect the insured person from a catastrophic financial loss. So that's whether it's medical insurance, automobile insurance, homeowners insurance. So like homeowners insurance, if your house burns down, you would still owe the mortgage to the bank, but you wouldn't have a house to live in. So the insurance helps cover you from that financial loss. Same sort of thing in an automobile accident. If your automobile gets crunched or totaled, you have insurance to protect you from that catastrophic financial loss. Well, with title insurance, it's the same sort of idea, but it's insurance based off the title of the land. In essence, protecting you from a catastrophic loss or an adverse claim against ownership on your land. So what happens here is when you go to buy a piece of property, the seller, in essence, buys a title insurance policy for the buyer that insures the buyer from any defects on the title. It's in essence saying, I'm conveying to you a free and clear title to the land. Now, at the same time, if the buyer gets a mortgage on the property, then the buyer has to buy a title insurance property to insure the mortgage company that the title will remain free and clear. So there's an insurance policy that covers the mortgage company, which is purchased by the buyer, and there's a title insurance policy that protects the buyer that's purchased by the seller. So what are the sorts of things that can go wrong with a title? Well, a title search will show if there's any sorts of liens or clouds on the title or any other sort of defects. So there could be outstanding mortgages like a second or third mortgage. There could be an equity line of credit where the house was used as collateral for that line of credit. There could be unpaid taxes. There could be courtroom judgments against the homeowner. There could be even restrictions on how you can possibly use the land. And a title search will reveal all of these. The title officer will then help the seller clear these clouds off of the title so that you can get a free and unrestricted title to the land that you're buying. And then it'll also insure you from any other unknown hazards coming down the road, like prescriptive easements or adverse possession claims against your land. In essence, protecting you from that catastrophic financial loss in your land. Now, hand in hand with that title search and that title insurance policy, generally most companies also offer escrow services. So what are escrow services? Well, basically escrow is an independent third party, I should say a neutral third party, that's going to collect all of the documents for your purchase of your property, whether it's purchase sale agreement, all the other forms that go with that, any funds deposited by the buyer, any funds that need to be paid by the seller. It's going to collect money from the mortgage company, and there's going to basically get everything all in one place, all of the funds, all of the contracts, make sure all of the signatures in place, and every responsibility that was supposed to be conveyed in that contract are done and completed before they disperse any money and record any documents. So in essence, that escrow process just coordinates your entire contract. They're almost like a project manager, if you will. So why do you need the services of an escrow person? Well, because they're the independent third party that collects all of this. They have no interest other than to see that the contract is executed as written. And that's where the contract is very specific and very important, that you follow all the criteria of the contract. And once all of those criteria have been met, that's when escrow will finally disperse money and record the documents with the county. And that's when you take ownership of your property. So how much does title insurance and escrow services cost? Well, I just happen to have magic password to get into CW Title and Escrow's vault. In essence, they call it their CW vault. And in here, I put in an example of a $500,000 purchase. You'll notice in my videos, I use $500,000 quite regularly, pretty much because it's easy math to do for me. But in this case, we put in a $500,000 transaction. So what it shows here is that the estimate for the premium on the title insurance policy that the seller is going to buy for the buyer is going to cost the seller $1,341. Now, as we go down to the next line and move to the right, remember the buyer is buying or is purchasing a title insurance policy for his mortgage company, and that's going to cost $862, in essence extending that same title coverage to the mortgage company. Then the escrow fee for them being that independent third person gathering all of the contracts and all the monies and doing all the recording, they're going to charge that fee equally to both parties, so that's split up to $850 to each party. There's an additional escrow fee of $60 to each party, and I don't remember what that is, but that's something we can certainly talk to the escrow officer at the time. And then the estimated recording fees for each half on the county, and then from that point above there, you pay sales tax on all of those figures, which is down below. And then the seller always has to pay excise tax on their transaction to the state at 1.78%. And so they're going to collect that money and disperse that at closing also. So you can see just for title and escrow costs on a $500,000 transaction, the seller is going to pay a little over $11,000 in fees that'll be paid at closing, and the buyer is going to pay just over $2,000 in fees, and that's just for title and escrow. One of the things you don't want to forget about are your prepaids, like for property tax. So as the buyer, when you come into your closing costs, you're going to have prepaids for your homeowner's insurance, for your mortgage, and your property tax. We covered that in some other videos, and you'll also get a disclosure about that also. But today we're just talking about title and escrow. And this is the type of fees that you can expect for just title insurance and escrow services. So I hope that covered the topic. Now you have a better idea what title insurance is, what it's for, what it protects you from, and approximate cost on that, and what is escrow. It's always that magic term, escrow, that nobody really knows what it means. Well, now we know what it means. So I hope you found value in today's video. If you did, please click on that subscribe button. If you have any other questions about real estate, I'm in the greater Seattle area. I would love to talk to you. I do drink coffee. We can get together for a cup of coffee. I'll answer any questions you have. My email is down below in the comments section. My phone number is down below in the comments section. Give me a call, send me an email. I would love to talk to you. If you know anybody else that could benefit from this information, just send them the link. Let them watch the video, because in the video I'm going to ask them to subscribe to my YouTube channel. But anyway, it's been good doing this episode for you today. I hope you found value in it. We'll see you again next week.